Why would a secular psychologist want to adopt the SPIES paradigm? That's what I'm going to be talking about today in my presentation. Michelle Fisher here with Colorado Christian University. Hope you're all doing well this evening. Some areas I'm going to explore throughout my presentation are: what is the SPIES paradigm? What classifies a psychologist as secular? And what are some of the advantages and disadvantages associated with the SPIES paradigm? Entwistle gives us a great description of the SPIES paradigm. He states that by being more interested in uncovering the psychology of the religious system rather than holding on to the orthodox theology. And we're going to look at a couple of different types of spies associated with this paradigm. Entwistle also gives us these definitions. The foreign spies are psychologists who pragmatically seek to identify religious elements that have psychological benefits, and whereas the domestic spies are those who practice a watered-down religion that are interested in proclaiming its psychological benefits. In both of these cases, though, you'll find that people are more interested in uncovering the psychology of the religious system instead of keeping to the orthodox theology, as Entwistle describes. The telos of the spies models is that the pragmatic desire to use any means at their disposal to aid human well-being. And according to philosophy.com, telos means the purpose or something or the intent behind it. So that is what this is saying to us, that they have the desire to use any means at their disposal to aid well-being. So now we're going to kind of take a look at secular psychologists. What exactly does that mean, now that we got a little bit of a better understanding of the SPIES paradigm? So secular psychologists are ones that separate scientific disciplines from religion. They rely on knowledge gained through proper scientific inquiries, and they believe that religious authorities and principles aren't suitable for academic purposes. And this is according to a journal I found in the Journal of Psychology and Theology. Jeffrey Ruber gives us the breakdown on secular psychologists and their views. I did a little research on psychologists in the United States. I wanted to see like how many there actually were, and this is, oops, sorry about that, the latest or the most up-to-date I could find. So it's stating that there's 106,500 psychologists practicing in the United States, and this was found in 2012 by the American Psychological Association. And an interesting fact that I found was, I'm living currently in Texas, so I went to Texas on the American Psychological Association's webpage, and I put in my zip code and then 40 miles surrounding. And I searched for psychologists that they're specialized in spiritual or religious concerns. And when I searched within my 40-mile range, it only came up with 4 psychologists. So if you look at the map here, Texas, it looks pretty dark there. It looks like 3,501 through 7,000. And I understand that the area I live in, within 40 miles, but I live in a pretty big city, San Antonio. But out of that search, I only came across 4. So I just thought that was a pretty interesting detail. And now we're going to move on to, what would encourage a secular psychologist to adopt the SPIES paradigm? So some research done by Entwistle was that it can be used to downplay religious teachings but still harvest psychological benefits found, and with the primary emphasis being not on the religious content but on the effects of human welfare, because it appeals to psychologists, of course. Psychologists are always trying to find ways, to appeal to their clients, because that's how they build their relationship and therefore, hopefully be able to help their clients. And what would encourage a secular psychologist to adopt the SPIES paradigm? Entwistle explains that psychologists seek to identify religious elements that would give them the greatest psychological benefits. I was thinking about faith, and that's why I chose this as my background, but does faith really help us in counseling? And, I would argue that yes, so of course this would be an element that psychologists, even on the secular level, might find beneficial in their treatment. And I also, a continuation of the advantages of the spice paradigm is that there's a recognition that religion can promote well-being, and also that the worldview is not reliant on the orthodox theological perspective. So psychologists aren't practicing by the orthodox theological worldview, but they are taking parts that promote well-being and they are incorporating them into their practice. So they're not taking, the old orthodox worldview that some people might not feel accustomed to, or in the secular world, try not to adopt faith as a lot of people see it, in my perspective. But they are still trying to find religious aspects to bring into their treatment. And some disadvantages of the spice paradigm is that it lacks commitment to any religious system. It's a watered-down doctrine with little investment into the religious doctrine, and it's selective rejection and selective plundering. Entwistle tells us that there's no commitment to any religious system. You're pretty much just pulling what you think will engage your clients, what the psychologist feels, will work for them. And a lot of times, like he points out here, that they're watering it down and they're not really attributing it to any religious doctrine. And just some biblical perspective here. Trust in the Lord with all your heart. Do not lean on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he will make straight your paths. Proverbs 3:5-6. And this is the English Standard Version. And I thought this was really compelling because the Lord does not promote espionage. And that is what is pretty much being found in this spice paradigm. There's a lack of inaccuracy in regards to the theological concepts and solutions that are offered by this approach. And so, on that note, I just had some final thoughts. Secular psychologists use the spice paradigm to incorporate their own perspectives of the Lord's words to their practices. So they take what they think the Lord is saying and kind of twist it around to be what they want it to be saying for their clients. And it's important, I think, to remember that upon taking a closer look to this approach, that it's not either helpful or religious. You're not really helping anyone when you start twisting words that are meant, for religious purposes, spiritual purposes, and you're twisting them to be what you want them to be for your clients. So I thought that was really important. And here's my references. And that is it. I appreciate your time, and I hope that this gives you some insight into the spice paradigm. Thank you.